There's this one piece of writing advice that's it's like a rite of passage.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're in a fancy MFA program or, just Googling how to write a novel at 2 in the morning,
Hmm.
you are going to hit this phrase.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this. It has to be show, don't tell.
That's the one. Show, don't tell. And it sounds so simple, right? It even sounds, I don't know, profound.
It does.
But the big problem is that nobody ever explains the actual mechanics of how to do it. You're just sitting there staring at a sentence like, he was angry. And this little editor in your head is screaming, no, show it.
And you're left thinking, okay, so what am I supposed to say instead?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the struggle. It usually leads to what we call flat writing.
Right, rating that gives you information, but zero emotion. You process the data, okay, character's mad, got it, but you don't feel anything.
It's like data entry, not storytelling.
Yeah. It's the difference between a weather report saying it's raining and, standing outside and feeling the water soak through your shirt. One's a fact, the other's a sensation. The writer's job is to deliver the sensation.
So for this deep dive, that is exactly what we are going to fix. We're launching a full-on assault on lazy writing, on boring adverbs, and we've brought in a source that's, well, it's less of a book and more of a secret weapon.
It really is. It's called Emotional Beats by Nicholas C. Rossis.
And when you say secret weapon, you mean it's almost like a toolkit, right?
I call it the thesaurus, but instead of looking up words, you're looking up feelings and how to show them with physical actions.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack that toolkit. We're going to define what an emotional beat actually is, dig into the psychology of why they work so well on your brain, and how to use them to cure that dreaded talking head syndrome.
And this stuff is useful even if you're not a writer.
Oh, for sure. If you just want to get better at reading people in real life, this is basically a manual on the mechanics of empathy.
It really is.
So let's start with the big one, the title of the book, Emotional Beats. Now, if I'm a screenwriter, a beat just means a pause.
Right, a pause in the dialogue. But Rossis is using it differently. For him, a beat is a description of a physical action.
Any action.
Any action. It can be huge, someone flipping a table over, or it can be tiny, like a single twitch of an eyebrow. The key thing is that it falls between lines of speech.
So it interrupts the dialogue.
Exactly. It interrupts the talking to show you what a character is feeling inside. It's the physical anchor for the words.
I love the analogy he uses that writing is like painting.
Oh, it's a great one.
You have your dialogue, which is like the pencil sketch, the outline. But the beats, they're the paint. They're the color and the texture that make the scene feel real.
That's it, exactly. They add the temperature to the room.
Okay, I want to use the latter example from the book because this is what made it all click for me. It's the perfect before and after.
Let's do it.
So picture this. Here's the lazy version, the telling version. The sentence is just, he fearfully stepped onto the ladder.
Okay. I get it. Man on ladder. He's scared. But I don't really feel anything. I'm just processing the fact.
Right. It's efficient, but it's totally boring. Now, here is the beat version from Rossis. Listen to this. He placed one uncertain foot on the ladder. His temples felt damp, his fingers clutching the railing.
It's a completely different experience.
It is, and he goes on. He closed his eyes for a second, expecting the worn step to give way. All of a sudden, my palms are sweating. I'm on the ladder with him.
And there's a real psychological reason for that, which is fascinating. When you use the word fearfully, you're naming an abstract concept. You're engaging the reader's analytical brain.
You're putting a label on it. And labels create distance.
Precisely. You're telling them what to think. But in the second version, the word fear isn't even there.
Oh, that's a good point.
Instead, you're just listing the symptoms. Damp temples, clutching fingers. And when a reader processes those physical details, their brain actually simulates the sensation. It's called emotional resonance.
So by not saying the word fear, you actually make the reader feel more fear.
That's the paradox of great writing. If you name the emotion, you kill it. If you describe the symptoms, you transmit the infection. You make the reader's body react.
Transmit the infection. I like that. We're bioterrorists of literature.
You're bypassing the brain and going straight for the gut.
So this leads directly to a problem that beats are perfect for solving. The source calls it talking heads. And I'm guessing not the band.
No, definitely not. Talking heads is that thing that happens in first drafts where two characters are just arguing, but there's no description of where they are or what they're doing.
It feels like they're floating in a white void.
Exactly. Just speech bubbles on a blank page. It's so disorienting for a reader because they lose their anchor in the world.
So how do beats fix this? The book uses a character, Sally, as an example,
Right, so the bad version would be something like, Sally felt anxious.
which, again, tells us her internal state but gives us nothing to see.
Correct. So Rossi suggests replacing that with a beat. Instead of saying she's anxious, you write something like, Sally clutched the hem of her dress, then forced herself to release it and straightened the fabric with long, nervous strokes.
Ooh, I love that forced herself to release it. That little detail says so much about her struggle for control.
It does, and now we know she's anxious without using the word, but we also see her dress, we see her hands. She's a real person in a real room. She's not a floating head anymore.
And it does something else practical, too. It gets rid of the dialogue tag.
Yes, the Sally said, if you write, Sally clutched the hem of her dress, and then a line of dialogue comes right after, we know she's the one talking.
That just cleans up the page so much. You get rid of that clunky, he said, she said, he said, repetition.
But, and this is a big, but there's a trap here, Rossis quotes the author Elizabeth George on this. You can't just use beats as filler.
You mean the sipping tea problem?
The sipping tea problem. If your characters are just constantly nodding and shrugging and sipping tea to break up dialogue, it gets boring fast. George argues that a beat has to do double duty.
What do you mean, double duty?
It needs to reveal something, an insight about the character, a clue about the plot, or it can even act as a metaphor. Sally smoothing her dress isn't just a random movement. It shows she's trying to smooth out her internal anxiety.
That makes sense. So if a character sips tea, their hand better be shaking, or they're using the cup to hide their mouth because they're lying?
Exactly. Every single movement has to earn its place.
Okay, so we've got the theory down. But the real gold in emotional beats is the lists. He literally breaks down the anatomy of every major emotion.
This is the thesaurus part, and it's so practical.
Let's walk through a few. Let's start with anger. Because the cliche is just, he yelled.
Right, and what's interesting is that physiologically, anger and fear are very similar. Heart beats faster, muscles tighten. The external beats, though, are very different. With anger, Rossis talks a lot about tension.
Grinding teeth, clenching the jaw.
Yeah, his jaw bunched. But look at the hands, not just clenched fists, but white knuckles gripping a chair. And the voice. It's a rookie mistake to think anger always means shouting.
Oh, right, he mentions the deadly whisper.
Or speaking through gritted teeth. Sometimes the quietest anger is the most terrifying because it implies control. It means an explosion is coming, but they're holding it back.
I love the verb spat. He spat the words out. You can feel the violence in that.
Now compare that to fear. We saw the latter, but fear has two main modes, freeze or flight.
So the body goes rigid or it backs away.
Exactly. But the microactions are where you find the real gold as a writer. The tiny involuntary tics.
Like fidgeting with clothes.
Or playing with hair, tucking it behind an ear over and over, biting nails, chewing the inside of your cheek.
I feel personally called out by that one. I do that all the time.
It's a classic, and because it's a real-life tell, it feels authentic in writing. And then you have the internal stuff, like a dry mouth, shallow breathing, or that great line, a cold sweat trickling down the spine.
That detail is so visceral, you can feel it.
Let's pivot to something warmer. Desire.
Ah, yes. The source gets a little steamy here.
It does, but it highlights a key difference. Fear and anger are about repelling. Desire is magnetic.
You lean in. You close the distance.
You mirror the other person's body language. And the eyes are huge, the gaze dipping to the lips, or just being unable to look away.
Some of the phrases are a bit much. Liquid lust was one.
Liquid lust might be pushing it, yeah. It depends on your genre. But the core sensation is about warmth spreading through the body. Skin tingling. Fear constricts. Desire opens you up.
Okay, let's bring the mood way down. Sadness. This one hit me because we just think of sadness as crying, but he describes it as a physical collapse.
Absolutely. It's like gravity just wins. Shoulders sagging, slumping, wilting. The energy drains out of the character.
And then there's the crying spectrum. I didn't realize there were so many ways to cry.
The word you choose matters so much. You've got silent tears, the single tear rolling down the cheek.
The very dignified movie star cry. High sympathy.
Exactly. Then there's sobbing, which is noisy, involves shaky shoulders, a total loss of control. And then
Sniveling.
sniveling. That involves mucus, a runny nose.
That's the unglamorous cry.
It is. If you want your character to seem pathetic, make them snivel. If you want them to be tragic, give them the silent tear. It's all about engineering the reader's reaction.
It's so manipulative, but I guess that's the job.
It is.
Now, we focused on the body, But the book argues that emotions bleed into the environment too.
Right, through sensory details, sound and smell.
Smell is the big one.
It's the most powerful because it bypasses the logical brain and goes straight to the emotional core. Describe a room smelling of stale smoke, and the reader feels that revulsion instantly.
And sound isn't just dialogue. It's the clock ticking, the deafening silence.
Or using metaphors and similes. The book has some wild ones.
You mean like she's crazier than a sack full of raccoons?
That one, yes. Or raining like a cow pissing on a flat rock.
So vivid. Not for every book, maybe, but it establishes a very specific voice.
But then you get a beautiful one like, his voice was soft as a feather, yet cold as a hungry tomb.
Cold as a hungry tomb. That gives me chills. That does so much more work than just saying he sounded mean.
And even inanimate objects can be beats. Doors are huge.
Slamming a door is obvious anger, but closing it with a soft click.
That's secrecy. Finality. Or weather, too. The old pathetic fallacy. Rain for sadness, oppressive heat for tension. It just amplifies everything.
So with all these tools, the lists, the doors, the raccoons, it can feel overwhelming. But Rossi shares this one secret near the end that I found so reassuring.
The second draft secret.
Yes, he basically confesses that his first drafts are terrible.
He says they're full of telling. He writes, he was angry. He uses all the lazy tags.
Which is such a relief to hear from an expert.
It is, because he explains that beats are primarily a tool for the polishing phase. First, you just get the story down. The skeleton.
And then you go back through and you paint. You add the muscle and the nerves.
You find a sentence like, he was angry, and you consult your new toolkit, you make his nostrils flare, you make his knuckles go white, it takes all the pressure off.
He also mentions a strategy he calls the help.doc.
I love this idea. He just keeps a running document where he jots down great beats he reads in other books.
So if he's reading Stephen King and finds an amazing description of terror, he just says it.
Exactly. Not to steal it, but for inspiration. So when you're stuck, you can just open your personal collection. It's like building your own thesaurus of feelings.
So to wrap this all up, what's the big takeaway?
I think the core message is that beats are the bridge. They're the bridge between an author's brain and a reader's heart.
It's a great way to put it.
Words on a page are just symbols. Beats turn those symbols into technicolor feelings. That's how you move people.
And for you listening right now, maybe you're not writing a novel. Does this still apply?
Absolutely. This whole thing is basically a masterclass in emotional intelligence.
How so?
Because if you start noticing these beats in books, that lip biting means nervousness, that crossed arms means defensiveness, you start noticing them in real people.
You become a better observer of the world.
You stop just listening to what people say, and you start watching what they do. Is their foot tapping under the table while they tell you they're fine?
Are they giving you a venomous look while smiling?
Exactly. You start reading the subtext of real life.
So here's a final thought to take with you. We've spent this whole deep dive talking about how to describe emotion in characters. But now, turn that lens inward.
What beats are you broadcasting right now in this moment?
Yes. If you were a character in a book, what would the author write about you? Are your fists clenched? Are your shoulders slumped? Are you leaning in, eyes wide?
What story is your body telling that your words aren't?
That's the question. Pay attention to your own beats. You might be surprised at what you're telling the world. Thanks for diving in with us.
A pleasure, as always.